All right, greetings everybody. This is the day after yesterday. It always is. But it's Wednesday rather than Tuesday. I actually did start filming last night, but then I watched it back, the video was only about an hour, but everything was lagged. My apologies. It's when I turn on the Stockfish engine, that everything comes coming to a grinding halt, and the quality was not great, and I didn't think the video was great. I was maybe in a bad mood. Who knows? But let's just do this again. Let's do this a little bit faster. At least I already have the game drawn out on the right-hand side. So last night I played against Zachary Tower. At the current moment, Zach has a 1771 rating, but his rating fluctuates a lot. The guy does play more chess, classical chess, than anyone I know. He had just come back from a tournament in New Jersey where he played 6-round tournament, so he was probably a little bit exhausted. Now, my immediate response after the game was, an analysis was, wow, we both really played badly. And, honestly, that's very unfair. First off, I said that to Zach, maybe more about my own play, because I wasn't that thrilled about it. Doesn't mean I won, or certainly doesn't mean I won, but it doesn't mean I lost. So you'll have to watch and find out. But, I don't know if Zach was taken aback, but because I felt like we both were missing a lot of, concepts of the game, a lot of moves. Given I went over this yesterday, I was actually too critical of my opponent, unintentionally so. For the record, my preamble there, and I'm just going to give it again, is that Zach's a really nice guy, very friendly. I think I'm friendly with him, but I wouldn't quite call him a friend. Not that, I wouldn't be friends with him. He's awesome. But maybe my blunt assessment was more meant to be self-facing rather than critical of both. Because on the whole, he ended up playing very, very well, actually. And I think it's just because there were two situations that I thought he could have, ended the game and didn't, and gave me life in both situations. Again, so maybe I slipped out by with a draw. But the truth is, Zach played really well. Anyway, entering tonight, I'm about 150 points weaker than Zach, and I thought that, that's probably pretty fair, which is that I have a chance, but obviously he's favored to win. He is a better chess player than me, but he's not, out of my league. And I think that's, probably pretty fair. So I went into this game as white, hoping that I'd have chances to beat him. When I searched for Zach, and again, I haven't been doing tons of reconnaissance, but I saw online, and again, he's actually the first person online that I looked up their online profile in this way. He only plays the Dutch, at least up until recently. He told me actually in the postcap that he was considering playing a QGE setup. And honestly, I would have much rather preferred that. Because what I told him is, and this is true, I hadn't formally ever really looked at or studied the Dutch. The reason why is online, you face it only about 2% of the time. It's just not a common move. It's not a bad move by any stretch. It's totally reasonable. It's just very much off book, or off the beaten path, I should say. So my very first game ever against Joseph, he played a Dutch defense setup. Although, and no flame to Joseph, he didn't play it great. He didn't know exactly what he was doing in the Dutch. Zach, on the other hand, has been playing the Dutch a lot. His online ratings are similar to mine, albeit slightly higher. And, he obviously knows what he's doing. When you play one opening a lot, you're going to be good at this. So I was kind of coming in at a little bit of a disadvantage because, and I said I was going to show my notes very, very briefly, because I looked at the Raphael version. I spent about an hour and a half kind of going over the first couple moves, and I knew the themes, and we, for the record, did get exactly this. So I was at least happy with my opening prep, thinking that he wasn't guaranteed to play the Dutch, but it's all he played online, expecting it, and honestly not wanting to face it, just because, again, I play it, 2% of the time online. So, and there, what I told him is I normally go into this, which is known as the Finchetto attack, and I was getting a Catalan, so I'm very, very new to this so-called Raphael variation. All right, let's get into the game. That's my preamble. I wanted to kind of throw that out there. And I'm going to, again, try to make this a little bit faster. So, knight f6 is the typical move. Some people play d5 here. There's a few other moves in this spot, but this is the main line. And I saw this move a3. The computer here gives it an accuracy, but on Lichess, this is actually, the strongest move. It has been played at the pro level a little bit, but the long-term idea is that I'm trying to stop, some pushes, as well as prevent some kind of pins. It's somewhat of a waiting move, and the reason why is depending on what kind of Dutch your opponent plays. For example, there are g6 setups. There are times where they push d5. That's where you kind of use the key move and figure out exactly where your pieces ought to be. He plays e6, which I believe is the best move in the position, and my response is bishop f4. Now, on one hand, this is controlling the e5 square. That's kind of important. I kind of would like to get a knight to e5 if I could. A lot of times in the Dutch setup, they play d5, and they kind of have this backwards pawn, but it's very tricky to attack it, but it's very important to utilize the e5 square. Alternatively, I'm taking away the e4 jump with his knight, with my knight, but it is bogged down because it's preventing me from playing c4, which again, a lot of d4 setups, I want to play c4. It's the downside of this knight c3 move that I play often now in turn 2. This is all in like my notes. Again, I'll show it one more time. I spent an hour 15 making this before the game. We got some final pictures and we got some ideas. And the truth is, Zach played the opening perfectly. He knew it as well, like what to do. This is the best move, bishop e7. A lot of times in this position, if they do something like this and trade, like obviously that does prepare e5, but this is good for white. There's a few other moves they have as well. But I'm not going to go into them. I basically was this far as booked up. And once he plays e7, I know I play e3. I lock up the center. I have like the strong pawn chain. And ideally, I try to attack him down the king side. He castles. And this is a slight inaccuracy. Not really. There's nothing wrong. I played bishop e2. The best move is actually bishop e3. But I was worried about long-term some e5, e4 ideas, especially if I was going to get my knight to f3. Plus, I thought my own bishop was kind of blunted on this diagonal. And I thought, maybe correctly, maybe not, that putting my bishop on e2 supported like an h4, h5 idea, because before he could like maybe blockade or so. Maybe not really, because I'm taking it away. But I just thought that maybe this helped guide it. Furthermore, and there are some lines funny enough where I thought that I might even want to develop it to f3. So that's what I thought. And okay, the computer doesn't give it an accuracy. It's actually one of the best moves. So bishop e2 is totally fine. The computer is calling out to just play knight f3. I know this because, again, I've looked at this once now. When I did my original video, I didn't know any of this. So I'll just kind of try to stick to like the mainstay. All right. Zach plays d6, which surprises me because I thought that, and again, I just don't know the theory that well, that a lot of times you want to just play d5 in one fell swoop. For the record, it's worth pointing out that in this position, I really did also want to play my long diagonal here, like the bishop to c4. The reason that doesn't work is then I get hit by immediate d5, and this is with tempo. If I play back, I think he's improved his position. I'm giving him a tempo. In here, it's pretty passive as well. But, again, there's like the long term. Maybe if I can get him to move his king over, I actually can start just shuffling my pawns forward. Nonetheless, he plays d6. I do a deep think, because this is where I'm out of book. And I knew when we arrived at this position, at least, based on my notes and like everything I had set up, that I knew that white was like doing pretty well here, or at least like had like still maintained the opening advantage, if you will. Last time when I loaded up the computer, it like didn't load. And this is what I meant by the video. So maybe I'm just gonna chill in this position for a minute. But this is where I was out of my opening, and as you can see, like if I continue perfectly or so, or then white maintains that opening advantage, which is really what I'm seeking. The problem is, normally it's funny. I've been in the opposite situation as Zach, where I play, especially as black, a lot of like offbeat openings, where they're not like great for black. They're like very equal. It's just I know the positions well. And I kind of feel like what I normally do as black to my white opponents, Zach is doing that to me here, where we're reaching a position where white still is slightly better, and like obviously it's very early in the game, but like he knows this position, and I'm telling you, I don't. Like I already had some vague ideas of how to approach this, but I wasn't really sure. So for example, the computer wants me to play knight f3, but I thought that was kind of hemming in my bishop, and maybe I was going to get like run down with some e5, e4 ideas. The good news is, and like for example, h3 is better than h4, and I thought I should expand on the king side and attack. So I play h4, which is still like one of the best computer candidate moves, and it makes sense to me. I'm trying to go after him. I'm also in some lines preventing g5. I'm preventing it anyway, but if he was able to like relocate his knight in order to play like a g5 attack. Not that I think he really wants to open up the king side, but the h4 move does serve like multiple purposes. Sorry, so I've left the engine on. Again, if it crashes at any point, I'm not going to make another video. You guys are going to just have to live with this, but c'est la vie. So that's kind of my mindset of the game. Unsure of where my pieces go, but I did think h4 made a lot of logical sense to me. And Zach responds with queen e8. And it's worth pointing out, this d6 move is taking away a lot of the juice, the threat of like the knight jumps. Sort of. And the reason why is because I'm not really threatening to jump in with these forks because it's not supported. So he could just like move back with his queen or just play knight out to a6. And the reason why I would have preferred the d5 pawn, again, when he played d6, d6 is better than d5. So I just some positions in Dutches you play the d5 setup. But obviously, with that not played, I can jump in and threaten those forks. Now, ideally, if I could, if this worked, if he was forced to play knight a6, which he's not, worth pointing out that my knight is supported by the bishop, even though he's bearing down, it doesn't really matter. Then we can get, let's say we get some kind of setup like this. Excuse me, I would not do that. Where if I move back here and he doesn't move back. I did mention that there was like a threefold repetition idea here, which is to move back and forth. But anyway, but if he doesn't, and he certainly doesn't have to go for that, again, the computer I think suggests a line like h6, then I can actually, just trade the light square bishop. And in this position, which is kind of, again, I think sort of from my notes I had lifted some sort of ideas, the computer actually likes black better. It's worth pointing that out. Now, why is that? I don't know. But I guess I'm glad I didn't go into this setup. But the point is, maybe because it looks like black is actually getting an attack, these pawns are actually not that weak. It's not so easy for me to attack, even if I centralize, things like that. Yeah, I would probably play queen d2 or queen d3 with the idea of queenside castling. Again, if we were to get in this position. I was thinking about some ideas like this, which would have been very... very thematic from a Jobava London perspective, but I'm not getting this g4 move in, which is very important to attack the king side. I'm just gonna let the computer run for another moment. And it's worth pointing out, as far as in these variations, that's with the whole like tomfoolery with like these knight b5 ideas, which is what I liked. Again, they would have been a lot stronger if he had played d5. But he played the better move, d6, and he kind of stopped a lot of that stuff. Furthermore, he is actually, in some lines, going to bear down and get an attack on like my very weak b2 pawn. All right, hopefully this is long enough. Again, if not, when I watched it, everything was like frozen and just kind of awful. But I'm not going to do much in the analysis portion, the engine portion. I'm just going to kind of comment based on what I remember from yesterday. So, anyway, he plays queen. The other thing as well, as I thought, and it makes sense that he is taking away... like, if I push, and I didn't realize this, or else I wouldn't have played it, that when he locks my pawn push in place, he's actually bearing down with multiple pieces. And I thought with 3, that's fine, I can always move one of them, but it's not so easy. And I commented, like, so I play h5, and then I actually realized this is a mistake. Like, the computer annotates this as my first inaccuracy of the game, and I agree. And it felt like I was softening black. And he answered with the only move, by the way, that is still good for black, h6. But, okay, so conceptually, I thought this was a weakness because now it opens up the g6 square, but it's just not easy for me to get my piece in there. Like, ideally, I can jump my knight like so. But the problem is, as soon as I jump, I thought that this pawn's hanging. Now, the computer finds a very clever resource, which is just the bishop sacrifice. And this is really good for white. And I'm pretty sure over the board, Zach, I'm telling you, like, I knew that there were some lines where maybe I could sacrifice, but I was not heavily considering this here, and for one reason. Excuse me. And that reason is this. I thought that my pieces were too far away to actually mount an effective attack here, and I thought it was too easy for black to maybe seal it up and get his defenders in there. So I thought I'd be giving, well, maybe not the queen like that, because then it hangs the knight. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, actually, the knight does not have a lot of defenses. Then maybe I am looking to kind of force him open. I thought I needed to play slower, queenside castle, get a rook to g1, and then launch these kind of sacrifices. But my attack is too slow. The computer likes this, for the record, for white. It's not even winning, by the way. It's just, like, slightly better. And that's kind of how I'm supposed to justify my my h5 move. So... when Zach locks this up, like, again, I need to see that these sacrifices in certain positions are effective. I realize my mistake, which is I can't actually play, and I showed this line, again, in the first video, I will stop saying that now, these g4, for the reason that I mentioned here, which is takes, and he's got this clever move, and I did see this over the board, of course, that this e5 here opens up, and this is just completely losing for white. White is effectively down a piece for a pawn, and it's actually even a good bit worse than that because I have no attack. It's like -3 here. So I knew that if I can't play g4, black is actually as snug as a bug in a rug because my attack loses steam. I can never really play d5. He then just plays e5. I'm stalling out. So I thought my ideal setup, the only way I could play g4 is if I got a rook underneath. And the problem is there's not a lot of places for me to put my knight. And I know that like I need to develop it. And I was under the misconception that I can't move it to f3 because then I would lose the defense of the h-pawn. And I thought if the h-pawn fallen? Yeah, if I lost the h-pawn, then I really had nothing. Again, the reason this works is the computer sees a line where if I play here and he actually is greedy enough to take it, then I go for the sacrifice. And again, that's where I'm getting a ton of open lines on the G and H file. What's funny, whenever we opposite side castle, both sides just try to attack, and Zach is going to do to me what I really wanted to do to him this game. He just did it better, to be honest. So I play my queen to d2. This is a very reasonable move. I think the computer slightly prefers queen d3, but they're both pretty good. My idea is to castles, get my knight involved, and then move my rook over. He plays bishop back, and I laughed at the board because it looks like he's underdeveloped and he's not doing anything. He's shuffling back and forth. But actually, black is already completely fine. I think with this inaccuracy, maybe white's back to having a very slight advantage. But it's just funny because from like a conceptual perspective, black is underdeveloped. You know, most of his minor pieces are still in the original square or like the back rank, which made me feel like I ought to be better. But the problem is my attack is stalled and my pieces are also very uncoordinated. And so I was kind of, and I think I should mention also time-wise, I blitzed out the first 5 or 6 moves in like a minute, and then I started thinking because I was out of book and I was really taking my time. Zach, I built up, this is pretty typical of all my games, I built up about, I'll say 10 minutes of an opening advantage, maybe 15, not even 15, and then that edge, slowly subsided throughout the game. Zach is a contemplative player. He's definitely on the slower side, but I don't think he was ever seriously in time trouble, and I doubted if he was actually under that much time pressure. I think he ended the game with like 12 minutes or something like that. But I could be wrong. Maybe he felt the burn of the time, but I don't think so. I thought he was very much cool, calm, and collected. So I didn't quite see the power of this move, and I queenside castle. My idea was to get my knight into the game somehow, move my rook over, and then finally prepare g4. It's slow, but I thought it's what needed to happen to launch an attack. And the funny thing is, this a3 move is good in some lines, but here it's going to actually serve as a hook, because my friend here is going to launch an attack against me. He first prepares with bishop d7, and in the post-cap, this was the first move of mine that he doesn't like, and I think I understand it. The computer actually does have that. I mean, I'm just going to show, because this is why I actually should turn off computer annotations, because the computer annotations make no sense. Like if you, again, I don't know if this will show up, but the computer likes king b1. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like it's in the top candidate moves right now. It's the best move. I think if it keeps thinking a little bit more, it will drop a little bit, and they'll prefer the f3. And I should have given f3 more credence. Again, it drops the pawn, but then I can actually finally strike out, and it's okay to lose that pawn to rip up the king side, which is also why I don't think he would have taken the pawn. So I really should have played f3 with the idea of g4, which is a very common idea in other openings that I play, so I should have borrowed from that. Maybe my brain just wasn't working that great. Anyway, the point is, the computer over on the right-hand side, marks my move, and this is why you shouldn't really listen to annotations, as a question mark. But over here, it is literally 0.2. It's literally the, again, hopefully this loads. I'm not going to stay on this frame forever, but literally shows as basically the best move. So he didn't like it. I played king b1, and the idea, of course, is that what I showed in the game is I was worried long-term about some skewers. Like I want to play e4. I want to open up the center. And as soon as I do that, then this becomes a little bit vulnerable. I didn't want to as well be forced back and face the same move with gusto. I didn't see that if he pushes e5, I'm supposed to sacrifice on h6. And all those lines, all right, hopefully you guys see this. So they give me the poor annotation, but it is one of the best computer moves. I didn't see that idea. And I needed, as white, to see that e5 can't be played here because I can go bishop takes on h6. And that sacrifice leads to a decent attack for white. Certainly, if I needed to desperado it would have been fine. But nonetheless, I do play this move, which again, ignore the computer annotations. It is the one of the best moves. But and again, my idea was this is just very classically good in a lot of queenside castles. I thought this was an improving move. I thought I wanted to prepare again at G4, and so I'm just trying to take out any sting, like basically a prophylactic move. Maybe it's too slow. Who knows? Zach goes after me with A5, and like it's pretty clear he's gonna go B5. He's gonna push, and like I don't have a lot of tempi. What I should have done here was F3 with the idea of G4 and just try to grip and dip. You know, if he play, what I said in the other recap, or the first video I made, is that it felt like his attack was a little bit clunky because his pieces are on the original square. Even if he gets some kind of pawn storm rolling, he will give me a few tempi to kind of either mount a defense or launch an attack of my own. So I thought that he was basically B4, B5, B4, takes, so that kind of is equalizing moves, and then a knight move and a bishop move. So I thought I had 4 moves to make stuff happen, and I thought in those 4 moves I could play my knight, that's move 1, play my rook, that's move 2, play G4, that's move 3, and then open it up myself, that's move 4. So I thought I actually was okay on tempi. I thought, as well, it made sense to have my knight on E2, and so this is like my piecemealing. So I thought I should start with bishop F3, thinking this wins a tempo, because he has to either defend the pawn. His best move, I complimented him a lot after the game on his move, which I do think was very strong. It is the second best move according to the computer, rook A7. Again, ignore the computer annotation. They don't know shit. But the very simple D5 is actually even better. And this kind of locks everything down. Now I'm never attacking on this diagonal. And again, this is what I mean, and I should have thought about this a little bit harder, that this is like black's ideal setup in a lot of lines. And here it's really strong, because now my bishop is never eyeing the A8 square. But I do think Zach's move is very elegant and good. For the record, it was on my mind, because in some certain lines, I thought if I didn't play F3 myself, let's say I mean, what's a reasonable move here? Let's not actually make a real move. I thought if he played bishop c6 himself, one of the lines I was considering was rook h2. The idea of lateral defense and dodging the same sort of pin. So it was definitely on my mind, and for some reason I thought that he wouldn't play this. I thought when I played bishop f3 that we'd either arrive where he'd have to, again, spend a tempo defending this, but more precisely, I mean, if he goes back, this is actually equal. But if he goes forwards, I thought that basically we would get these trades. And again, like, I'm kind of taking some of the teeth, the danger out of the position. To be fair, now actually F3 is far more manageable and far more pleasant. But that didn't happen. With rook A7, I'm kind of blocking my pieces. Now I can't play F3. So I'm kind of doing myself a disservice. And I thought I was I-spying, but I'm not really. And here I blunder. And like, this is what I meant and where I was critical, and I'm going to not be critical at all, because I know, Zach played well. But this is where Zach did miss a move. He still played, I mean, B5 is still very strong, obviously. I mean, again, he's going to yank forward. He's going after me. But I played knight Ge2, thinking I got to get my pieces in, but then gasping at the board. And I showed him this after the game, realizing, oh my god, I just blundered a piece. And the reason why is if he strikes E5 here, the sample line is takes, and for the record, the computer finds a decent defense, which is just sacrificing, which is why this is not lost for white. But I don't know if I would have played that. If I play back, he then plays E4, and as you guys can tell, because I played a knight to E2, I don't have a retreat square. So in all these lines, I'm just dead, right? This position is already like -3 or even worse. And so I realized that I actually blocked the square. Now, if I do something else, like, again, here, now you guys can tell this move doesn't work for the same reasons. Here, and if I drop back, here, now I have a retreat square. And I'm actually kind of curious, this kind of position. Again, and this is actually, again, good for white. Now it's I don't know, plus over minus, whatever they're saying is. It's almost +1, and that's, of course, B5 is coming. But I've, like, consolidated the center. I have this really strong diagonal for the bishop. This pawn is not really going to fall, again, because if he takes this time and I take, I now have some discoveries on the queen. And also that actually may enable me to get my knight to G6. All that would have been pretty good. But I realized I made this blunder. And had Zach gone into that and won the piece, I I was in rough shape. Like when he launches his attack, I'm still doing not very, very well at all. Excuse me. Let me drink. Sip my coffee. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, I realized that I actually blocked in my own bishop with my desperation to get my knight to a more active square into the game. Yeah, but this would have been a sample line if had I went like knight h3 instead. And I think I moved this a little too quickly. And what I had mentioned is that Zach is kind of a slower player, like very contemplative, he's very good, of course. But he blitzed this move out, which is really surprising. And obviously the attack is strong. But again, I think that had he found this move, the e5, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I wouldn't have like resigned on the spot or anything like that. But I think the game would have been a lot shorter. Not that b5 is bad. This is still a very strong move. Nonetheless, I did a brief sigh of relief. After like not white knuckling the table, but after realizing, when you make a huge mistake, you're like, oh my god. Then I basically was able to consolidate. I was able to take the deep breath, and I said, all right, I think I need to open up the square for my bishop. I miss a lot of moves the first time around, but the second time around, especially online, I see them. So I'm generally slow to see some stuff, but I eventually do see it. And I thought that I wasn't going to count on him missing the e5 move twice. And apparently I don't play the best move, and a conception of the board, it made sense. I thought I needed to bring a piece in for the further defense of my king side while freeing a square for my bishop. So I play knight c1, and I thought this was elegant. Apparently it's not. I don't even know what the computer likes here, to be honest. But, oh, right. Actually, I'm supposed to play e5 myself. I need to, and the whole time I was actually thinking about e5 ideas, and the reason this is strong, just so I can just show it. Obviously, if he like takes, that's great. But the idea here is, let's say he ignores. He just pushes. First off, if he takes, white is better. His best move and only move to maintain advantage is to take. We get a position like this. I'm attacking the pawn. I'm not even sure what he would necessarily would do here. Maybe now he takes or so. But wait, maybe I'm just lost here because now maybe I am losing a piece. What do the computers see here? Now I need to think. I think the computer sees this move, which is this sacrifice, because now basically with takes, I can sack another piece here, and I believe, I think this is now good for white. Yes, because I'm threatening these like checkmates. These are very, very, very powerful, and I'm just gunning down. So I think, despite being down a lot of material, in fact, 2 pieces for 2 pawns, I think white is just winning here. And the whole idea is because I'm just fast to the attack, his pieces are actually on bad defensive squares. I needed to see this. I didn't, obviously. I think e5 is kind of very challenging to play in this position. But that's what I needed to play. Seeing that this bishop doesn't matter, this bishop doesn't matter. It's all about the rook activity with the active queen, where Zach can't really mount a proper defense. And I didn't see that, obviously. Instead, I breathed a sigh of relief, and maybe this is why I need to examine the position more critically. And I thought that I was escaping, where I was maintaining my material, and and life was good. However, I do get hit by b4. I think already it's -2. It's rough. It's not lost, but I'm in a lot of trouble. I obviously take, and I play knight here, thinking I'm attacking the pawn, that maybe I'd be a pawn, and it's not so easy for him to route his pieces. One note I said, I was less worried about his attack because his rook was ahead of his queen, and a lot of these positions, it's just game over if his queen is ahead of his rook. Because I thought as long as I could watch this a1 square, and I can, by having like a knight on b3, for example, that my goose wasn't quite cooked yet. And I am right. It's not lost, but it's quite bad for white because again, my attack is too slow. I still, for the record, can't play these g4 moves. Just takes, and again, opening up, everything is unpre. And I'm actually not even. My rook is still not even on g1. So that plan I wanted, I just haven't been able to implement. And Zach is now slowly untangling his pieces. Remember, I said I had about 4 moves. I have like 2 moves now. He's going to move the knight. He's going to move the queen in, and he's going to bang-a-rang down. So Um, I take the pawn. I thought that was the first step. I don't want this in my face. I thought that maybe he could just push, but he said, no, I could just take, and actually, like, white's better. And the problem is I just get stuck in a box. Like, he plays here. I'm supposed to just take this. Like, I'm supposed to play takes, and then play knight b3. And this position is not lost for me. And the reason why is, again, this b3 knight is difficult to dislodge. It's taking away the a1 square. I think the computer... First of all, I have a move here. The computer wants to end up playing, like, bishop a4 here. And here, I actually don't know what the best move is. I'm curious. And I'm curious how bad it is. No, like, this is already +2 for the record. Like, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay, so... Oh. Doi. Alright, queen a8 is a blunder because of the bishop here. So let's ignore that. Let's pretend this happens first. Or even this happens first. Either one is probably pretty good. But let's say we get this position. And let's say now I play g4. Now he hits me with the queen a8. So in this position, if, again, if he doesn't blunder the queen. Yeah, okay, so this is still... And this is what I mean. This is still -2 or -1.8, depending on how you look at it. Where this is bad for white, but not necessarily lost. The computer wants to surge on an attack with, like, a g5. But the reality is his pieces are coming. He's going to move the other rook to b8. And everything that I want to do, he's doing better and faster. Like gearing down. I still have these pawns in the way. What's funny is I don't want these pawns at all. I need to sacrifice them. I need to clear them out. And that's if, position like this. It's also why, by the way, like slamming down like an e5 at different times would have been, excuse me, a d5 would have been pretty good. Maybe not even getting rid of the knight. Because that also would have blunted the bishop. Alright, so this is loaded long enough. Hopefully you all see the computer analysis. It's like -2, basically. It's quite bad for white. Again, -2 is very losing. Not necessarily lost, depending on the complexity of the position. I have some threats here, so I don't think it's necessarily over. But his bishop's more active. Mine is kind of in no man's land. My rook is stuck. Like, I don't have the open lines. His rooks have open lines. I don't even have an A pawn anymore. So yeah, I mean, it's very easy to see how even though I'm up a pawn, it's a -2 position, or I guess the computer evaluates over here at -1.9. It's quite bad. All right, I'm gonna turn the computer off. I'm trying this new thing, kind of divvying back and forth because I'm not gonna go in depth with the computer review afterward. It has been 30 minutes. Great. This will be a little bit of a faster video. So I have to grip and dip as much as I can. Nonetheless, I instead make the mistake of moving my knight, thinking that he would trade, I would trade. But the thing is, I don't want my knight on b4. And I didn't realize this here. I want it on b3. And, if I was defending, I'm in a -2 position. If I defended it perfectly like a computer, I would have held on. Like, that's the truth. I would have held on. But I didn't defend like a computer. In fact, I think I defended quite badly. From worse to worse. You know what I mean? From bad to worse. Maybe that's the expression. So once knight e4 is landed, it does the same thing as e5. Zach said he thought this knight was passive. I didn't. I thought it was actually pretty good because it was restricting my entire, any of my attacking ideas. I thought once I trade, which I have to, now maybe if I ever have some free time, now maybe I have g4, g5 ideas. Finally, I think this works, maybe. But yeah, I have to make up a square for my king. I thought maybe there'd be some lines where I'd run. This pawn is doing amazing work, by the way, keeping me in a box and kind of some kind of mating web. I don't really have the time to budget. Again, I never played this f3 move, and it was very important that I did that. Again, I'm just not happy with how I played. I think Zach played well, and he's a good player, but I'm disappointed in myself for this game. I have been playing very well. In fact, I mean, you guys can tell I'm obviously going to lose this game. This was actually my first white loss of 2026. I had an unblemished record. 3 draws as white, believe it or not, but no losses. So Mr. Zach handed me my first loss of white. I played the rook over. This is also a bad move, and you'll see how he finishes me off. This is a very beautiful professional move. He's keeping me in a box. I wanted to run with my king, and now I'm just pretty screwed. I played what I thought was the only move. It was very clever, and this is the best computer move. It's sacrificing a pawn, but the idea is I'm getting some activity. There are some ways that he could make a mistake. For example, I thought that if he, tries to, keep the piece on this way, or if he, for whatever reason, like just tries to move his rook down, something like that. I was always looking at these potential knight forks. It's a knight sacrifice to basically dislodge his queen, picking up another piece, especially because he's not actually threatening rook b8 because his rook is not in a position connecting with it if I dislodge his queen. The truth is, it's still quite bad, but if I was able to get rid of this bishop for this knight, then finally I could actually run with my king. And I'm still down a pawn, roughly. I mean, right now the material's even, but I probably will lose a pawn. But I actually thought that was holdable. But, and again, it was like an opportunity for my opponent to maybe make a mistake. He doesn't. Bishop a4 is the best move, just kind of keeping it there. I play another, like, not quite last gasp, but a tricky move. Thinking, like, I'm giving him, in theory, this discovery. If he plays bishop c2, it's check, but I can just take it. And he doesn't have these mates, because coming down, I move up, and I'm actually taking away this key a2 square. For the record as well, if he plays check, I can also take with a rook, sacrificing my queen, he takes, I take. That's quite bad for me. It's still losing, but I thought if I was able to sacrifice my queen for the rook and bishop, then at least it's interesting and maybe holdable as well. Probably not, but those, like, again, I'm looking at lines. The other big key why I'm playing this out is I thought maybe I can get some counterplay. If he, again, just, like, moves it, not why would he move it, but, like, does, like, another move like this, for example, rook b8, if he lets me crash in, I thought that maybe I would get some checks. I mean, the truth is, he doesn't do that because I go here. Eventually, he'll just play to, like, h8. But I thought that actually here I might have... the problem is I still don't have the sacrifice because this diagonal is taken away by this pawn and this bishop. So I think I just never... I think I'm just never okay. Like, if I play here, I think he can probably sacrifice. Right? Like, he's threatening a... No? Yeah, because if I take... And I'm just sauced here. Just checkmate. Or maybe I'm running here. There's no way I'm holding here. But who knows? Maybe. Alright. The point is, he has to do everything with check. Alright, those are just some quick moves. Anyway, I thought this was like a little bit tricky to give me a little bit of counterplay, some life, but he just seals it up with d5 now, and this is great. I'm completely stuck in a box. My pieces are like under attack. I have zero counterplay. I play king b2, which is the best move. The idea I thought is I could pin his own bishop. He pins my knight. He's going to win another pawn here. Worth pointing out, takes, takes, takes. I'm with check. I have to move up. This is pretty nasty. I play rook a8. My thinking here is now his piece is pinned. Maybe there's some delusions of grandeur getting my rook over and like maybe consolidating. But it's really not to be. Once this is a great move. I thought the better move is rook c4 check. And the reason why is only move here and then he immediately, oops, not that way. And then he immediately wins my queen. I have to sacrifice it. But and this is completely winning for black. But this gives me maybe some chances. Not really. Honestly, not really. He can force me back. He can force me back to the back rank. Is the thing. Well, maybe here I'm supposed to run up. But like, if I ever go to the back rank, then he picks up my rook as well, and that's why it's completely over. But so I did think rook c and rook c4 is slightly better, but it's like already like -5, -6 here. It's just over. So it doesn't matter. The queen c6 check is great too. I thought if I could run on dark squares, I'm okay. And he plays queen b5, and I thought maybe I'm okay here because I play this tricky move, rook hb1. Thinking that if he just like throws everything down, we trade everything off, that like, all right, it's bishops of opposite, and the pawn doesn't matter. He's got double pawns, like I'm actually holding here. But he plays much better than that. And this is all forced. He checks me, and then he plays, and I didn't see this move. He plays bishop e5. And now this is a brilliant, he's threatening like a different checkmate. If I take this, obviously I get mated on e2. So I bail out, thinking the only thing that keeps me in the game is to take the rook. He takes my queen. I take, and I didn't see, oh boy, I'm actually getting forked. So in a lot of lines, I thought maybe it was going to be rook bishop against queen. This is rook bishop against queen rook. Excuse me, queen bishop. It's completely over. I play a couple more moves, just wondering if I can make a fortress at all. Just thinking that like, all right, the game is pretty much over, but like, it costs me a minute to make these moves. I told him after the game, I'm like, yeah, I probably could have resigned a few moves ago. I just figured I'd play out a little bit. He's like, that's no problem. Truth is, again, he had like 12 minutes left or so. He really wasn't under that much time pressure here. And I thought I would go for like one little trick here. What's funny is he spots it. He can just take the pawn. The reason why is I'm not really threatening the queen, because then he just makes another queen. So I just lose another pawn. I thought maybe it was advantageous to get my rook on this file, so I could maybe take some pawns and start checking him. Unfortunately, he gets his pieces where he wants it. He now has like a mate threat on g2. I have to defend it, so I have to keep my rook here. I'm completely passive, and I resign here. So this is the game, and I just resign. It's mate in a couple moves anyway. So that's the game. Obviously I could defend it by playing my bishop here. But why prolong the game? All right, that's that. Not thrilled with how I played. Zach played a lot better than me. He deserved the win. He played overall. On my phone, when I did it, Zach played actually at 92% accuracy or so, or 92.3. I played like 82% accuracy. We're gonna see what my computer says. The computer says 90 and 80, so the computer undersells both of us. Maybe the phone. I actually think the phone engine is stronger, maybe, than my computer engine. I don't know, just because my computer lags and stuff. But who the hell knows? Anyway, difference of 2%. The point is, any 90+ game is good. Sometimes very good. Zach is a little bit stronger than me, so kind of like showed his strength here. I thought he played basically all the phases of the game a bit better than me. I'm happy with an 85% plus. I think I also had a bad game. I guess no out-and-out blunders, although I felt like him finding those that e4, e5, e4, whatnot was winning kind of early on. But I played like a lot of inaccuracies, and I just didn't really pose a lot of challenge, I guess, is maybe the way to put it. It looks like, again, I maintain a slight advantage from the opening, and then pretty much just like, whoops, sort of blunder. He capitalizes, and although he kind of like missed some of these mates earlier, maybe his technique in finishing me off wasn't like pristine. Zach played a good game. And that's basically it. I did mention how, in the Open, this is my second Open game. The pairings for the last week, I'm playing against Michael Brown. I played him once before. He beat me. He played better than me, but I think Mike is a great test because nice guy, of course. He's, like, right now my rating is like, I don't know, 16, 20 or something like that, okay? Basically, I'm, here, let's actually find out together, because I think it's not updated there, but let's see what I am. Okay, it's not updated here. It's supposed to be updated the third Wednesday. Doesn't make any sense to me why they do it like that, but let's just, all right, so 1627 according to this. Okay, fair enough. So let's just say 1620s. Mike is currently 1720. Okay, great. So Mike is about 100 points higher than me, which of course it's going to be a competitive game. Either player could win. I think I would like to be better than 1720. Again, I want to be 1800. In an ideal world, I'll beat Mike. I also get white again, which is great, because right now I think I'm completely, after the white tonight, I think I'm completely equal on my white and black games, I think. Basically, what else can I really say about this one that hasn't been said already? These were my annotations before. It's just pretty much what it is. What do I want to say? Right, if I beat Mike, then I'll think that this will be a big win for the Open. It'll mean I'll have gone 2-1 in the Open against players who are on average 100 to 150 points stronger than me. That's great. If I lose to Mike, it'll be probably, given I also drew the side game to Nico, who's only like, Nico is only like 1250, but he's already crushing it in the midsection. I knew that he was underrated. Again, I still should have won that game, mind you. But where am I going with all this? Basically, if I beat Mike, it'll be a success for February. If I lose, it'll be a failure. If I lose to Mike, I'm going to be dropping down to the midsection. If I win against Mike, I hope that I'll be able to play the Open again. The rules of the Open is you have to be within 200 points. So like you technically have to be 1710. They bend the rules there. I think if I beat Mike, I won't earn enough points to be 17-10. So maybe I'll be forced in the midsection anyway. Although having a winning score, oh, that's my alarm. Having the winning score in the open and then being forced to bump down wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, that's kind of my goal, and that's going forward. Other thoughts about this game? I thought that, again, when Zach sort of in the mid game, when I blunder and he doesn't punish it directly, that maybe I was like holding. But I just played a lot of inaccuracies. This H5 move is like the start of trouble. I think if I honestly just play the better move, Knight F3, I would have had a much better game here. Maybe slowly prepare the H5. I needed to give more credence to the fact that G4 couldn't be played right away. In fact, maybe even here, just going F3 is an idea. Just trying to break it open like that. And again, for the up-team time, I wish I had done something like this. I was too eager to play these H4 ideas. The H4 ideas, again, are only particularly strong against this move, against G6. Who is messaging me? And now you monkey forward. Because I have this target, again, I'm looking to just trade everything off on H5, split him open, and then I'm much faster, because look how he's very underdeveloped, and he still has everything on the queen side in the original rank. None of that happened, though, and we soldier on. I did learn a valuable lesson playing against the Dutch. I really hope I don't play against it anytime soon, because I don't really like it. But it seems like it'll probably just be Zach. And who knows? He told me that he's been playing more Queen's Gambit Decline stuff. So maybe even the next time I play him as white, which will probably be a long time from now, who knows? Maybe he won't even play the Dutch again. We'll see. All right, I think this video has been long enough. I will post this. 45 minutes, definitely a shorter one for me. That's pretty good. I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks a lot for watching, and more power to you. Peace.